Tonight, Quebec fighting the fourth wave with vaccine passports starting September 1st. Class on campus in the time of COVID, how McGill will handle it. And after his initial refusal and resistance, Andrew Cuomo resigns.
CTV News with Maya Johnson.
Good evening. Maya is off tonight. A new reality starts September 1st in this province. Quebecers will need a vaccine passport to access certain businesses, including bars, restaurants, and concert venues. It's part of the government's efforts to limit the Delta variant, but there are many questions about how exactly passports will work. We begin tonight with Kelly Gregg.
Une quatrième vague, elle est inévitable au Québec.
The health minister is bracing for the worst, saying a fourth wave is inevitable.
So that we do not have to reconfine.
There's some major news for vaccine development in Canada today. U.S. drug maker Moderna announced plans to build a production and research facility for vaccines to be operational as early as 2024. Stéphane Giroux reports.
Moderna has produced 300 million COVID-19 vaccines so far, and the U.S. manufacturer is now expanding into Canada, where it will make mRNA-based vaccines.
Despite emergency work, the mayor says the P9 metro station is safe. Valérie Plante confirms emergency work is being done to underground support beams for the Olympic Stadium. Those beams sit on top of the P9 metro station. Reports suggest the damaged beams were discovered months ago by accident. The mayor says the STM will provide an update on the situation. And Valérie Plante made those comments answering questions from reporters, on the campaign trail this morning. If re-elected, she says, the city will invest $40 million in low-cost student housing. The goal, she says, will be to create 2,000 new affordable units over the course of a second mandate. Plante says the investment will help attract students and keep them here.
If we look around the world, the cities that will continue to be dynamic, the one that will, if you want to stay in the game, it's about having students, having people wanted to come and study in the city and then stay for longer after.
The money will go to nonprofit organizations that specialize in student housing. A powerful figure in American politics is resigning. A week after a scathing report found a pattern of sexual harassment with a mixture of defiance and regret, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo gave 2 weeks' notice today. Tom Walters has more from Washington.
And I love New York. And I love you.
Writing his own eulogy to his political career, Andrew Cuomo tells New Yorkers that all he wants is to help.
One of the women who brought down sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is now suing his friend, Prince Andrew, claiming he sexually abused her when she was 17 years old. In court documents, Virginie Groff says Prince Andrew's wealth, power, and position enabled him to abuse her as a child with no one there to protect her. The suit was filed under New York's Child Victims Act. The 61-year-old royal says he doesn't remember meeting Groff, even though, based on photos, he did. A Chinese court has upheld the death penalty for Canadian Robert Schellenberg. It's a decision the Canadian government is condemning and linking to the extradition process of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou. Kevin Gallagher has more.
Robert Schellenberg lost an appeal to save his life as a Chinese court confirmed his death sentence. Canada's ambassador to China condemned the verdict.
And we call on China to grant Robert Schellenberg clemency.
Back to school is just weeks away, and that means it's time to shop for new school supplies. It's an annual ritual, but it's one that's not affordable for some families. Luca Crusoe Moro reports now on one organization that's stepping in to help.
Colored pencil, colored markers.
Pierre Bray knows these items well.
Paper pads.
He's a volunteer here at the Welcome Hall Mission, one of many tasked with no small feat today. September is around the corner, and families need supplies.
The winners of Quebec's first COVID-19 vaccine lottery have been announced. A man from the Montérégie was the first to win a $150,000 prize, while a student from Montreal and one from the Montérégie each won a $10,000 scholarship. The weekly draws continue each Friday in August. On September 3rd, a $1 million grand prize will be drawn among those 18 and older, as well as 16 $20,000 bursaries for youths aged 12 to 17. The contest was set up to encourage Quebecers to go get vaccinated. And CTV News continues with a look at some of the hour's top stories. Starting September 1st, Quebecers will need a vaccine passport to access certain services, including bars, restaurants, and gyms. It's part of the government's efforts to limit the spread of the Delta variant. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is stepping down. The governor announced he will leave his position in 2 weeks, faced with a growing scandal over sexual harassment allegations from multiple women. And a court has rejected the appeal of a death sentence ruling issued to a Canadian, Robert Schellenberg. The judgment comes as another Canadian detained in China faces a possible verdict in his case. People have been tackling a mammoth journey in China. 14 elephants captivated the world by wandering 500 kilometers north of their natural habitat. But as Tom Walters reports, the rogue herd is now heading home.
A rambunctious kid seems determined to wake a napping adult until mom pushes the child away with a weary kick. And largely because of moments like this.
Sticking with international news, Algeria's president has announced that 25 soldiers were killed, saying residents from the wildfires burning east of the capital. That brings the overall death toll from the fires to at least 32. Firefighters and the army are trying to contain the blazes, while residents can be seen desperately using anything they can to try to put out the flames. Authorities blame arsonists for some of the fires. A massive wildfire has now burned for more than a week on Greece's second largest island. Flames are devouring forests and thick smoke hangs in village streets as hundreds of firefighters battle to save whatever they can. Maggie Ruley reports from Evia, Greece.
Red flames leaping into the Greek sky. More than a week of record heat fueling relentless conditions on the ground, sparking nearly 600 fires across the country. Volunteers.
The pandemic has meant many have gone a long time without seeing loved ones. For one couple living on opposite sides of the border, it was a 10-month wait until today. Matt Grillo captured that reunion.
Okay. It's really hard to believe that today actually is here because we've been waiting for so long, and every single month we've had some optimism.
Coming up, children heading back to school amidst concerns about COVID in classrooms. And why was London's Tower Bridge stuck in this position for nearly 12 hours? Good evening and thank you for joining us. Across the country, first Alberta has lifted most of its COVID-19 health restrictions, and now New Brunswick has done the same. But there's mixed reaction to the speed of reopening. Heather Butts has the latest.
For the first time in nearly 500 days, there are no public health restrictions in New Brunswick.
It's a funny feeling to not have to wear them anymore, but it's definitely a relief as well.
A new study finds that COVID-19 symptoms experienced shortly after infection are different based on your age. The study out of King's College in London tested data from more than 15,000 people. It found those aged 16 to 39 tend to experience a loss of taste or smell. Cough and chest pain is common in those 40 to 49. People 60 to 79 experienced unusual muscle pain and shortness of breath. The Mohawk Council of Kanesatake has a new Grand Chief for the first time in a decade. Victor Bonspiel defeated incumbent Serge Otzi Simon in yesterday's election. Bonspiel has been a council chief and says it feels great Kanesatake will be, quote, moving forward in a community effort. Simon was first elected in 2011. Today is the first nationally recognized Emancipation Day. The day marks the anniversary when Britain first abolished slavery across its then empire. Here in Quebec, people say national recognition is a start, but there's still a long way to go. Luca Crusamoro reports.
Marie-Thérèse Zemir was born in Saint-Domingue, a former French colony in what is now Haiti. She was a slave, taken from her home and brought here to Quebec.
A fire damaged part of the Mont Cascade resort in Cantley, north of Gatineau today. Firefighters were called to the water park and ski resort at around 7:30 this morning. The fire was in the main chalet. One employee suffered smoke inhalation. There is no word on the cause just yet. At the Olympics, Canada celebrated its first man to reach the podium this year. And last night, summer swimmer Penny Alexiak became the country's most decorated Olympian in history. Raheem Ladani has that story.
Canada's Andre DeGrasse earned his fourth Olympic medal the hard way. A slow start out of the blocks had the Markham, Ontario sprinter running sixth, but an incredible burst of speed in the second half propelled him to the bronze.
Coming up, why rain in Vancouver is making the news. And what an increase in so-called air rage incidents means for flight crews.